What up, YouTubers? This your boy, the Visionary. Welcome to another episode of Fireside Chats. Today's episode is actually going to be the first of a new segment. I'm going to title Clockwork of the Mainframe. For some reason I came up with that. And it's basically going to be observable patterns I've noticed in certain things. Call them trends. Trends that tend to go unnoticed by regular people in general about shifts and change in American culture and style, in the economy and political thought and ideology and concepts and stuff like that. So I just wanted to come out and talk about these things, like things that I feel that are pivotal to understanding these sort of massive shifts in the collective unconscious and conscious of both the American people and the world. And hopefully these things will help you to see and explain what you see in front of you and so on and so forth. Yeah, so what do I want to talk about? What was the first thing I want to talk about? I've been noticing something like in Hollywood and comics and a lot of things that I thought were very interesting. Ever since Obama got elected, there has been this very forced agenda to blackify the public conscious or public narrative of this particular time, a period in time in American history. And what I mean by that is certain staples in the American experience as far as movies, TV shows, literature, media, period magazines, comic books, stuff like that you normally would absorb, read, and partake on, whatever. You start to notice there's this subtle shift where certain things have been altered or changed where they've never been like that before. For instance, I read comics, like, off and on. Like, I'm not a really heavy comic book fan, but when I pick up a comic every now and then, I go probably once or twice, once every 2 weeks or something like that. I go to a comic book shop and I take a look at what's happening right now, to stay on top of what storylines are out. And one of the things I noticed, and this was like in 2008, 2009, or 2010, right? And you have Spider-Man, right? A well-known American character. Everyone knows him. He's like a household name, yada, 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 right? So when you deal with Marvel, they have alternate timelines. They have the ultimate comic, ultimate Marvel, where it's like Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate Captain America, Ultimate Avengers, Ultimate X-Men, stuff like that. It's a different timeline, different types of characters, whatever, yada. They're more grittier, they're more realistic. You get the idea. So what happens is, there was this new thing where in Ultimate Spider-Man, the original, died, and in his place, Spider-Man became a black kid, a black Puerto Rican kid. This sent shockwaves and ripples within the, I would say, the comic book and superhero community. You know what I mean? And it was like, wow, like Spider-Man's black now. Holy shit! It wasn't bad, but it was the start of a shift that you started to pick up on, right? Because he wasn't the first one. Like, all of a sudden, Marvel started coming out with these books within, not recent, like I probably said 2007, 2008, where they worked on storylines where they retconned a lot of history of well-known Marvel characters. For instance, if you look at Captain America, right? They told Captain America's backstory, and they said before they gave Steve Rogers the formula, before they perfected it, they tested it out on like an all-black army regiment, you know what I mean? And most of those guys died except for like 2 or 3 of them, right? And so they have the story of the black Captain America. And this backstory was reflected or echoed in a more recent storyline where this new team called the Young Avengers, which were basically knockoffs of the Avengers team themselves, they're younger kids. And one of the characters on this Young Avengers team was basically a patriot, and he was like a black kid in a mask. He had the Captain America shield and all that shit, and he was gangster, like, yo, fuck you, Captain America, you weren't there, you blah blah blah, my uncle and father and all that shit. You know what I mean? And every so often you start to see the shift now, like all these characters start to change. I remember remember Daredevil when it came out with Ben Affleck, they changed Kingpin to a black guy, and I was like, okay, that doesn't make any sense, but whatever, because we're all used to the comic book versions, you know what I mean? Like, oh, Kingpin was this fat white guy, and I guess at the time, that made more sense to make him a black dude because he wasn't fat. He was just this big diesel motherfucker, period. And he made more sense to fit the physical role of the character. So you move forward and you start to see the shift. You start to see the change. The latest version of Superman, the Man of Steel, they changed Perry White to black. He's black. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? Like, I'm black myself and I'm not racist, but I'm saying something is up with this. Something is up with this random switch or change in all these random black characters are starting to pop up as they're starting to switch the race. Nick Fury, same shit. You look at Nick Fury, then all of a sudden he was this white guy with a patch over his eye, and then all of a sudden you go to the Ultimate Universe, and now he's a black guy. And then they switch it over to the regular Marvel Universe, and Nick Fury is now a black guy with a patch over his eye. And I'm sitting there going, does no one not notice this at all? Does no one not get this massive shift that's popping up and that's going on right now? You know what I mean? And you see this everywhere. Like, we start to see now the TV shows that are out now. You'll have the main star will be white, right? And then usually, let's say the main star will work for someone, like he'll work for a company or whatever, and his boss will be black. And the boss will be cool. He'll be like this parental figure that always gives him good advice, puts up with the person's bullshit, and blah, blah, blah. I'm watching this new TV show called Without a Trace. And it's this white guy who's like he's like a brilliant surgeon. He's like the star surgeon of the hospital. And his boss, who's like the head of the department, is a black woman. Is actually the Claire Huxtable from the Cosby Show. And I'm like, you'll start to see this over and over again. Like, look at the TV shows that you're watching. You'll notice that there's always the black character. They're now starting to put black characters at the forefront as far as leadership roles are concerned. But look at the era that we're in. We're in an era of a collapsing economy, the degradation of society, the social structure, and fabric of society, and all that shit, where, you know, people are starting to betray each other, stab each other in the backs, turn into snakes and all that, and everything's falling apart. But this is when they start to give black people or African Americans their time in the sun. I really think people should, like, pay attention to this, because it's something that, you know, I think it's observable, and you start to see again, the patterns and how they think of us, and as far as the real reasons why people start to give us our light in the sun, because it's basically there to put the black face on a failing situation, period. I remember running into this black woman. I was talking about the Trayvon Martin situation, and we went into talking about Obama and his presidency, and she was like, well, why do you think they, you know, elected him into office in the first place? Because, you know, that's the only reason why they would elect a black man, is to put him in charge of a failing ship so that they can just blame him for all the crap and blah, blah, blah. And then when shit starts to get better, they give it back to white men. And I'm more inclined to agree with her. It does make sense, and I'm starting to see what the fuck is happening now with the country. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you for watching. Peace.